To understand the power of opposite-colored bishops, let me share you a story of the world champion Boris Spassky. Boris Spassky had just gone through a rough divorce. His chess friends asked what was going on, and Spassky said, "My wife and I were like opposite-colored bishops," which is a fancy way of saying they don't see eye to eye because they're on different color complexes. And while this is, of course, a chess channel, we're going to see how this principle allowed Caruana to defeat the world champion Ding in a very convincing style, starting with the move of knight to g3 here. And you might be wondering, what if black just kicks that bishop away with c5? Well, here's where we can have a lot of fun, because the move bishop takes g7 is actually possible. Takes, we go knight to h5. And where exactly is the king going to go? If they play king to h7, we can give a check with queen d3. Keep in mind they can't block because of the bishop being on, so they have to go back to h8. We can then slide with queen d2, ask him how they're going to defend that pawn. King h7 is the only way to do it. And now, okay, in the worst case, you have a draw, right? You know, draw against world champion sounds quite good. But Ding was rather out of form in Norway, and so we can be pretty sure that Caruana would have gone rook e1, and you might be wondering, what's the big fuss, Max? Isn't black just a piece up? But the point is that you can now play rook takes e6. You sack the rook, and even though you're a rook down, you've got a really strong attack against their king here. You know, you are threatening mate for one thing, and after rook g6. This is so brilliant that even it went completely over my head when I was looking at this game, but it turns out that we have this move of queen to d3, which is the deadly quiet move, preparing to bring the queen into h7 or take the rook. If they try to defend with the queen, now the queen's overloaded, so we can go rook takes d7, and now it's actually white who's better, because the black king is just so wide open. If they play d4 trying to set mate, we just block it and, ask black, what are you going to do next? If you take my rook, I take your rook, and because your king is so weak, white is better. I mean, you have 2 pawns for the exchange, so you're not even down material, right? And if you're enjoying this video so far, do make sure to leave a like and also to consider subscribing. That will ensure that you get my training in your feed each day. Nice and easy way for you to get better at chess. Now, if they play king h8, the really crazy line is here. Now, like, queen d3 is not as effective. Like, queen c6 kind of holds now, because you're not going to have the check on the king at the end for one thing. But the thing is that this move of knight f6 is completely ridiculous. Like, they can't take here because of rook takes queen. And you're threatening rook h7 mates. They actually do kind of have to take the knight here. But then queen d3, and it's just crazy. Like, they just can't stop queen h7 in a good way. The only way you can actually stop it is knight f8, but then we take the queen and we're just winning. Just completely nuts that Caruana figured all of this out during the game. Because even with the engine running, I didn't understand, like, why is bishop g7 working, but yeah, that's the reason. And in the actual game, it was a little bit less, let's say, crazy than this, but still same idea that white is, wanting to set up a few little things, bishop h6, attacking that way. Computer here is just going completely ballistic and saying that you should play bishop takes h3, and if takes, like, knight e5, and ask white how you get out of this. But okay, this is the domain of the computer, like, just completely insane stuff. And, well, if Ding wasn't, performing at, like, 2800 before this tournament, he's not going to find, like, this sort of tricks at this point. Let's put it like this. But, yeah, in the game, king h7, more natural move was played. But now all of the white pieces are in the game. Black's pieces are a little bit tied up. I mean, white's pieces look a little bit tied up as well, right? Like, this bishop is getting in the way of our rooks. Like, you almost want to take your own bishop just to free the rooks. Well, it turns out actually to move b4 would have been quite strong. Would have been a nice way to just ignore all the funny stuff going on the queen side, like get your passed pawn and, be able to just go for the king in this way. Okay, the computers make everyone look kind of bad at chess, but in the game, bishop f4 was played, and Ding said, okay, my position's not that great anyway, so let's just take a pawn and try to live to tell the tale. But after knight f5, the storm clouds are gathering around the black king here. You can't take the knight because then white will take the rook and be up the exchange. So the only move for black to stay in the game is actually to play the move rook to g8. And the idea of rook g8 is basically to kind of stop the sacks on h6. Like, if they play bishop h6 trying to go for mate, black's just going to take the knight now. And it actually works here. Like, take, and, white ends up getting enough for attack for a draw, but not more than this, actually. Like, queen d5, and okay, it just ends up being equal at, around this point. But otherwise, if you play knight d6, okay, white's got some pressure, but, black is at least surviving, right? Unfortunately for Ding, he played the move queen c6. And let me know in the comments below, what's the move that you would play in this position as white? I'm curious to see how many of you are able to come up with the move that Caruana played here, because it was this move that basically set up his win in the game. Now here he realized that, okay, he remembered a principle I mentioned earlier via like the Gotham chess principle, that if you have 3 pieces around a bare king, your attack is probably going to work. And so knight takes g7. It's not even really a sacrifice, actually, because you are getting, like, if we, survey the wreckage at this point, you can see that, white managed to get, like, a rook and 2 pawns for a knight and bishop, which is pretty close to even. But the difference now is that after queen g5, the black king is just wide open. If we just imagine a rook on that h file, it's already going to be mate, right? That might be a bit hard to do, but we are able to swing the rook to g3 and do it that way with queen h4. Now, in the game after rook to e8, white played the move c4, just asking black how he will defend this. Black goes d4, where it's going rook e4, and just mate them like that. And in the game after rook b8, white found a nice little finishing blow of rook takes e6, to which black resigned. And if you're wondering why black resigned, it's because after take, queen to e7, king moves wherever, it doesn't really matter, but white's just going to go rook e6. Queen and rook against a lone king, not a very fair battle. If black tries to move the queen to safety, we just go check, check, and deliver a checkmate, rook g6 and queen g7 mate, is how the game could end if black had not resigned. Anyway, hope that you found this training valuable. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do more slightly longer training like this one. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.